They call him Dynamite, and in the rain-slicked, high-stakes streets of London, weight landscape. Picture a matte black Rolls-Royce Cullinan, gliding through the neon glow of Greenwich as the city skyline looms in the distance. This is the world of Daniel Dubois in 2026. A life where the heavy-handed brutality of the ring has earned him a seat at the table where the stakes are measured in 8 figures. With a net worth now surging toward $45 million following his historic global stadium sellouts and a staggering $68 million payday against Oleksandr Usyk, he has turned raw potential into a global empire. But don't let the bespoke tailoring fool you. This is a kingdom built on violence, forged by a man who had to walk through the absolute fire of public doubt to reclaim his crown. He didn't just survive the heavyweight division, he demanded it pay attention. Before we break down the rise of the heavyweight king, hit the like button, subscribe, and join the inner circle for more stories of boxing royalty. Long before he was headlining Wembley, Daniel was a quiet, reserved boy from the unforgiving streets of South London, raised in a household where boxing was more than a sport. It was the family religion. Born on September 6, 1997, he was one of 11 siblings under the strict, singular vision of his father, Stan Dubois. While other kids were straying into the distractions of the city, a 9-year-old Daniel was in the Peacock Gym in Canning Town, forging a physique that looked like it was cast in iron. But the dynamite genes didn't stop with him. The Dubois household became a factory for champions, most notably through his sister, Caroline Dubois, an elite amateur prodigy who captured world and Olympic youth gold before dominating the professional ranks. Together, the Dubois name evolved into one of the most feared bloodlines in British combat sports. His amateur foundation was elite: 75 fights, 69 wins, and a collection of English schoolboy titles and ABA championships that marked him as a prodigy. His professional debut in April 2017 was a trail of wreckage. It took him just 35 seconds to demolish Marcus Kelly, a warning shot heard across the Atlantic. From there, he began a historic domestic blitz that the UK hadn't seen in decades. By age 21, he knocked out Nathan Gorman to become the youngest ever British heavyweight champion, collecting the WBC Youth, Southern Area, and English titles along the way. He dismantled rivals with chilling, robotic efficiency, proving that his Dynamite moniker was more than just marketing. It was a promise of total destruction delivered with a jab that felt like a lead pipe and a right hand that felt like a car crash. And that's when the blueprint hit a devastating, career-altering wall. In November 2020, the hype train collided with reality. Facing Joe Joyce, he suffered a fractured orbital bone and nerve damage. In a moment that would haunt him for years, he took a knee in the 10th round, unable to see, and was counted out. The boxing world was unforgiving, labeling him a quitter and questioning the very heart that had brought him to the dance. For a 23-year-old, it was a psychological blow that many thought would end his career before it truly began. Dubois went back to the drawing board, changing his team and hardening his mind to the shadows. He traveled to the U.S. to stop Trevor Bryan for the WBA regular title, then weathered a frightening scare against Kevin Lerena, where he was dropped 3 times in the first round after his knee gave way. Most fighters would have folded under that kind of pressure, but Dubois stormed back to win by knockout, proving his chin was as tough as his fists. His true metamorphosis came in 2024. He traveled to Riyadh and engaged in a savage, bloody war with the undefeated Filip Hrgovic, claiming the IBF interim title and setting the stage for a showdown that would define an era. This journey led to the ultimate crossroads, a night that changed heavyweight history forever. In front of 96,000 screaming fans at Wembley Stadium, he stepped into the ring as a massive underdog against the legend, Anthony Joshua. What followed was a 15-minute masterclass in systematic destruction. He tore up the script from the opening bell, dropping Joshua 4 times with a relentless, high-volume assault that left the veteran champion looking lost in his own house. The air in the stadium was thick with disbelief as the next big thing systematically dismantled a national icon. By July 2025, Dubois reached the financial and competitive peak of the sport in a massive unification rematch against Oleksandr Usyk at Wembley. While the result was a fifth-round stoppage loss, the rewards were undeniable. A staggering $68 million purse that catapulted him into the stratosphere of the world's highest-paid athletes. Despite the setback on the cards, his status remained ironclad. With 21 knockouts and 22 victories, he remains the most feared, high-volume puncher in the division, a man whose presence guarantees a sellout and a highlight reel finish that pays out like a winning lottery ticket. Yet for Daniel Dubois, the story is far from finished. Tonight, Dubois steps back into the line of fire to challenge Fabio Wardley for the WBO heavyweight championship. With both men promising violence and a build-up defined by raw, unfiltered tension, this isn't just a title fight. It's a battle for the throne of British heavyweight boxing. For Dubois, it's another chance to prove that the man once labeled a quitter has evolved into the most dangerous force in the division. And it's that level of success, pressure, and global superstardom that has allowed Daniel to build a life of refined, modern luxury centered around his primary residence, a stunning 7-bedroom mansion in Chingford, Essex. Valued at over $5 million, this estate is a high-performance sanctuary featuring a private gym, a jacuzzi, and an outdoor swimming pool set against the tranquil English countryside. However, even in this fortress, the pressures of fame sometimes collide with the discipline of the ring. Before his massive 2025 showdown with Usyk, the mansion became the center of a media firestorm when reports surfaced of a controversial $70 person party held on the grounds. Critics pointed to the event as a distraction, a crack in the gladiator focus, but for Dubois, it was a rare glimpse into the chaotic reality of life at the absolute top of the food chain, where every celebration is scrutinized by the world. When he isn't in recovery mode, Daniel's taste in machinery reflects his transition into the global elite, blending executive precision with high-octane performance. The crown jewel is his Bentley GTC convertible, valued at approximately $260,000, an elegant masterpiece in deep navy that represents the peace he finds outside the ropes. For his high-stakes London commutes, he relies on a 2023 Mercedes-Benz 220d AMG, while his growing entourage moves in a Mercedes-Benz V-Class, the ultimate practical luxury for a world champion on the move. But the King's Fleet isn't just about speed, it's about commanding presence. Rounded out by a Range Rover autobiography, the gold standard for British athletes, he enjoys a blend of rugged versatility and executive prestige that mirrors his own hybrid style in the ring. Yet, the hunger hasn't fully been satisfied. Dubois has already set his sights on his next automotive conquest, a Lamborghini, a supercar that matches the aggressive, unapologetic speed of his own right hand. He wants a machine that screams as loud as his KOs, completed by his customized Rolls-Royce Cullinan. His garage is a functional trophy of a 19-year grind from the Peacock Gym to the pinnacle of the world stage. Each vehicle is a reminder of the distance he has traveled from the boy who boxed to stay out of trouble. Despite the headlines, he remains the quiet storm of the heavyweight division. He is a man of profound contradictions, a global icon who moves with the stealth of a ghost. In an era where champions live their lives through Instagram filters, Daniel has built a wall of silence around his personal life. Reports in 2026 remain a puzzle. While some insiders claim he remains a bachelor entirely committed to his gladiator lifestyle, other reports suggest a more complex reality. There are whispers of a discreet, high-profile relationship with Brazilian model Raissa Fox, a union kept so private it has sparked rumors that the champion has already quietly stepped into the role of fatherhood, managing his home life with the same tactical caution he uses to manage a fight. This level of secrecy is a direct reflection of his upbringing. His father, Stan Dubois, remains a monumental figure in his life, his influence extending far beyond the training ring and into the very fabric of Daniel's household decisions. It is a world where the noise of the media is filtered out by the loyalty of the family circle. Whether he is a lone wolf or a family man in the shadows, Dubois proves that in the world of heavyweights, The most powerful presence is often the one that speaks the least. But even the quietest storms can create ripples of change. As his empire has grown, so too has Daniel's focus on the legacy he leaves outside the ropes. In 2025, he signaled a shift toward a more structured, strategic form of philanthropy by joining Founders Pledge, a global network of elite leaders turning their success into measurable social impact. Moving away from ad hoc charity, Dubois has embraced evidence-based giving, focusing his resources on the communities that forged him. From sponsoring grassroots boxing gyms in South London to supporting programs that provide alternatives to street violence for disadvantaged youth, he uses his wealth as a tool for discipline and opportunity. For Daniel, boxing was his pathway to the stars, and through his philanthropic efforts, he is ensuring the next generation has a fighting chance to follow in his footsteps. Now, in 2026, Daniel Dubois stands as a two-time world champion and a global mogul. With a record of 22-3 and 21 knockouts, he is the champion everyone is chasing, the man who turned a quitter narrative into a story of absolute redemption. Whether it's a massive unification fight or a homecoming defense in London, the heavyweight crown rests firmly on his head, supported by a neck of iron and a heart that has been tempered by defeat. Because in the end, greatness isn't defined by the fall. It's defined by the dynamite you use to blow the doors off your own comeback. If you enjoyed this journey into the life of Daniel Dubois, don't forget to like and subscribe. The era of dynamite has only just begun,